The Last Oricru is a story-based action RPG that was very recently released. It's getting a bit of a bad rap, and as much as I see the clear passion, dedication, and incredible effort in this art, I can say I also see its problems. I've only tackled the prologue so far, and it's already clear why things are falling apart from the developer side and consumer side. Let's talk about the game proper first, though. Firstly, the story. The characters talk a whole lot. If you really care about the narrative and want to pursue optional lore, they talk even more. Everyone is verbose and meticulous in speech. Your player character, Silver, has a particularly grating personality. He's incredibly passive and a bit snarky, which makes every moral choice in the prologue feel half-hearted. He doesn't have any strong convictions, even though he talks so much. But even though the dialogue from just about everyone is insufferably taxing to the ears and the brain, it is of immense importance. There's actually a lot of depth to the relationships on display, both overt and subtle displays of prejudice, some subtext about how savages and nobles are nearly identical. It's not bad at all. And this game will probably inspire some of my own character writing down the line, especially given how intricate and compelling its social mechanisms and world building seem to be. Ideally, my characters will speak more concisely and have more clearly defined personalities, though. Now let's jump into the details, yeah? In the prologue, you're given two factions to choose from, essentially. There are the Ratkin, who've done wrong by the nobles and so are being enslaved and tortured, or said nobles, who see the slavery and abuse as appropriate retribution for the Ratkin's crimes. The nobles are more plainly racist, and the Ratkin are more plainly violent, but both of them have similar ideas of justice. In the end, you're just choosing between two bands of murderers. Or, you're supposed to be choosing, anyway. Even though the setup is great, siding with the nobles in the prologue is brutally difficult. In order to please the Ratkin, you need only find a few items, stab an injured guy, and pledge your loyalty to the Ratvolution. But in order to please the nobles, you have to successfully win a fight against a pretty dang powerful swordsman who does all kinds of anime flips, has two swords, and heals himself mid-fight. You have to do this after receiving a very bare combat tutorial, and with a weapon you've had no chance to practice with before. Naturally, I think most people are going to lose, myself included. After that, you are dropped into a stealth segment, complete with absolutely no crouching or slow walking mechanics. In order to complete this segment, you need rather expert knowledge of the layout of the guards, their patrol routines, and the monastery the prologue takes place in. That's asking a whole lot, considering the average player has only been in this place for like 15 minutes before this point. The icing on the cake? There are no manual saves. If you goof up and run into one of the guards, like I think 99% of players must have given how absurd this task is, then you're saddled with a -15 reputation for the nobles, everyone starts berating you for being such a royal screw-up, and it all feels entirely unearned. The developers themselves say that there's no manual save because the idea is to have a completely organic playthrough, where no choice can be undone. That only works if the player feels like they're making a choice. I used my critical thinking to choose stealth. I just failed because I didn't properly grasp the layout of this place or the nature of the stealth mechanics. And so much weight is placed on the stealth section. It is, apparently, by word of God, the only stealth section in the entire game, too, which makes its inclusion all the more baffling. You can't expect a player to go from 0 to 100 in understanding your game's language. They need eased into things. The developer's response to criticism about the stealth was egotistical and tone-deaf, as far back as February 2022. When people complained about how unreasonable the sneaking was, combined with an instant and permanent failure state, would you like to guess the developer's response? The developer essentially said, "No, actually, you're wrong, and sneaking around the guards is super easy. See, look, here's a video of us, the game designers, personally showing someone how to do it flawlessly." This is a huge problem for so many reasons. The average player will never have the same knowledge of your game's intricacies as you, game developer sir. Expecting perfection of them when they've only just been introduced to this world makes you look shockingly detached. You're presumably creating this game to be played by consumers. You should probably have an audience in mind, no matter how small, and designed for them if you're going to market your art as a product. The stealth was so incredibly unfair, sudden, and forced that I assumed there was a manual quick save option at first, and was baffled when there wasn't. I fully defend the designer's choice not to include manual saves if they think it'll ruin the choice-based story, but the choices should feel like genuine choices, not like clumsy coincidences. As things are right now, I'd be incredibly surprised if anyone passed the stealth segment and sided with the nobles on their first try. Not for lack of trying, but for lack of knowledge. Knowledge they should have had if only the game took the proper time to teach them.